Oh, hey, you guys. Okay, back again for two ends of the stick. Okay, so this is another exercise that is good for dealing with anxiety. And just, it's an aphorism that's used in fourth way schools. It's called two ends of the stick. Okay, so the idea here is that life is a whole stick. And the only things that are really important are like the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, because what's actually going to happen is going to fall somewhere in between those two things. Okay. And we're recognizing that anxiety is really what if energy. And when you experience like extreme anxiety or even just like regular ass anxiety, you're using that what if energy, your imagination, to imagine like the worst case scenario all the time, and it just goes down and down and down and like spirals down and down and down. But the important thing is we can use our imagination to imagine the best case scenario as well. Because if we're putting all of our energy into the worst case scenario and we're not acknowledging that things could work out, like what if it all works out, and trying to get and acknowledging that there can be an upward spiral as well, then we're only putting our energy into the worst case. And we have to balance it out by putting our energy into the best case as well. And that being said, we have to train our brains to really remember good things and remember the positive things. Our brains work in a way that we are programmed for survival. You know, we don't remember the times that we saw a bear and nothing happened. We remember the times that somebody got mauled, and so now we run when we see a bear. It's easy to like put all of your energy into the going into the spiral, and like the best thing you can do is just acknowledge that you're spiraling and maybe even let yourself go down further. Let yourself go down to the worst case scenario, but then come back on the other end and really don't scrimp on that best case scenario. Really, like, we're going for insane, magical, ridiculous, impossible miracles in the best case scenario. Just like you envision like worst case things that are probably never going to happen in the worst case scenario. So let's do this exercise together. I'm going to be my own case study today. Life is a whole stick. And I just filmed the video about EFT tapping. And so let's just stick with the example from that video, which is I recently got dumped by a situationship, basically, like not even like somebody that I was dating that I wasn't even in a relationship with. But I went on this whole spiral about feeling unwanted and feeling shame of being unwanted when in reality it just like wasn't aligned. That's the reality of the situation, you know? So, two ends of the stick. Let's do the worst case scenario first. So, worst case scenario is this person doesn't want me. Nobody else ever wants me. I realized that I should have stayed stuck in my toxic, abusive marriage because nobody would ever want me after that. And now leaving that, I feel an intense amount of shame and embarrassment because nobody will ever want me again. And I end up not ever being able to figure out how to make enough money for myself. And I end up just like spending all my money, incurring an insane amount of debt that I can never get over. And everybody in my family hates me even more than they ever did before. And people in the public talk about me really disrespectfully. They smear my name all the time. It's just like, no love for me at all. Super like public humiliation. Um, I end up having to be homeless and like not even having a cardboard box to live in. And my kids get taken away from me. And I'm just like the worst possible role model for my daughter. And I end up constantly like just being unable to be fulfilled in life and just neglecting my purpose. And people look at me as an example of like what not to do. And so loads of women like stay stuck in their own toxic, unfulfilling marriages because they like don't want to see this awful worst case scenario happen to them. of what could possibly happen if you don't stay attached to a man that hates you. And then I end up being homeless and going back to being addicted to alcohol. I get really drunk all the time. I start an OnlyFans that also doesn't make me any money and is extremely embarrassing. And what else worse thing can happen? I get all kinds of diseases and I lose my looks and my personality also. And nobody laughs at my jokes. Nobody thinks I'm funny anymore. And I get like somehow negative views on my content now. And it actually is costing me money to make it. And then I end up being just like really scabby and gross. And you know what? Also, like, I die just when I die, like, nobody even realizes that I'm dead for like days and days. And then they eventually find like what's left of my body after like loads of wildlife have like eaten off my face and lots of the rest of my body. And I'm like only identifiable by dental records. And then also like, you know, there's like the worst, like least flattering photo of me in my obituary. And it's just like continuing to circulate. And people are all just like, you know, only talk about me in hushed tones or completely, you know, don't even want to acknowledge like that I ever existed. And just the continual karma that I incurred affects me for lifetimes and lifetimes. And people that knew me and my family for generations are like constantly like shaking their head and they're waving their fingers at me and the story of my life. And I think that's a pretty worst case scenario for that one, is that nobody wants me now and then nobody ever actually wants me. I never figure out how to love myself and I just continually fuck myself and my life over. Physically and energetically, forever and ever, continually. So now let's do the best case scenario because we have to balance it out. And also a fun thing is like getting to the root of that feeling. So what's that feeling actually? That feeling is shame, like feeling unwanted, which is the block of the sacral chakra, which that was the block that was the first memory I ever saw, was like my dad not wanting me or not showing me affection and attention when I needed it. You know? Okay, so let's do the best case scenario now. Best case scenario is this person doesn't want me. I realize that this person doesn't want me, and it's actually the best thing that ever happened to me because like I immediately am thrusted back into my self-love journey and create a really robust, juicy, magnetic energy that I continually am stoking within myself. I reconnect with my womb. I keep my heart open. I've got my third eye open. I've got this beautiful vision of being a healer and a teacher from the universe and healing everybody that I possibly come in contact with. Everybody, even third parties or people that know of me, are healed by hearing my messages and hearing my teachings. And it's like everything that I touch, I just have this Midas touch and it's like gold and it's beautiful magic. And not only do I heal myself, but I'm healing all of these other people, and people are inspired to take their own path of their own healing journey. And they know that they don't have to do it alone. And they love like being a part of different support groups, especially my support group. And they love engaging with it and showing up for themselves and for the group. And anytime that I that I take on clients, they are just like so overjoyed to have a spot with me healing, because like I'm booked out for months and months, and I just have this like ability to also like keep my services so affordable, but I'm also just like making a ton of money. Like I never have to worry about money ever, because my services are just like so well sought after. And the energy is just like flowing intensely, and I never feel like I have to over explain myself, because people just get it, and it just like clicks for them. And I help them like make all these shifts in their mindset and in their life. And like I'm just like, I have all of these like beautiful, I have this beautiful residence that I live at, and I have more than enough space for all the people that I love to be there, and we can do whatever we want, and we live on the water, and I get to go paddleboarding whenever I want, and my kids get to play, and we get to have a garden, and I get to like make my own tea out of my plants in my garden, and I help other people by making my own tea blends, and it helps them with their brains and their bodies and stuff. And anytime that I go anywhere, anytime that I'm traveling, I'm just like, I'm in this big, beautiful jet that is like somehow like makes the environment more, it's like so safe for the environment, and like makes the environment better completely. And like globally, the impact is like a net positive on the environment. And it just like, it showers neighborhoods with money. It has this and crazy like magical money dispenser, and I'm able to like freely give to organizations that I care about, and I'm never depleted, and it all just completely comes back around to me. And my family loves me, and they decide that they actually want to show up for me in my life, and they decide that they want to all be engaging and like act like we give a shit about each other, but it's like not acting, it's like for real. And then I somehow like, anything that ever happens to me, even if I like fall down and trip, it somehow makes my legs better and prettier. And like any type of food that I eat, even if I'm just eating chips all day, it just makes it, all of the weight like goes to my ass and my tits. And and I constantly, even if I even if something does happen where I'm in an accident, it just makes it so I bonk my head so that I only see the best parts of myself ever. And I'm not afraid to share any part of myself. And I feel so at home in my body all the time. And I developed this like magical healing spray that is like made from my essence. And so like anyone, anywhere can experience my healing. And I get to go to music shows whenever I want, and I get to heal people at festivals too. And whenever I'm camping, there's no bugs that ever bite me, because we're just like Gucci. And this like beautiful healing energy that I have is like so tapped into my womb, and like this portal to other worlds. And I never have to experience anything that I don't want, that I'm not creating directly. And I'm so like self-aware, but it's not painful for me anymore. And anyone that I could ever want wants me, and actually like only ever wants to make me happy and do right by me and take care of me. And I never am lonely again. So anyway, that's two ends of the stick. And that feels pretty good for me to end there. I feel like we've balanced out the negative and the positive. Oh, we didn't talk about when I die and the positive. When I die, just every like generationally, people are so happy that I've like created such wealth for our family that they like have shrines for me on the wall, and like I have the most flattering obituary picture, and everybody's like so sad. There's like a collective celebration of life on my behalf, and everybody's like honoring nature for me. And talking about me in just like the most positive lights and all of the best ways that I've been able to impact those that were directly related to me and people that knew of me, and just like people around the world that were never even aware of my existence, or like somehow still touched by my beautiful essence. And everybody's so happy that I was able to learn to use my healing gifts to create some really like generational wealth, and they're so stoked that like they get to live really well because of all this wealth that I was able to generate. Okay, so now I think we're done with this session anyway for two ends of the stick. And so the thing to accept now is that like we got the best case scenario, we got the worst case scenario. What actually happens in reality is going to be somewhere in the middle of that. I didn't even talk about meeting my soulmate in the best case scenario. In the best case scenario, I would meet my soulmate. We would be so like totally like interconnected, and we can just look at each other. We don't even have to talk. We just like understand each other and are so in line. And we have just like the best, like most incredible sex. And yeah, fucking rad, dude. So anyway, the reality is going to be somewhere in the middle of that. And this is really an exercise in training yourself to use your imagination for good, and training yourself to see the positive aspects of life, and seeing like, what if the best possible thing happens? Because especially when we have like the blocks in the lower three chakras, it can be really hard to stop digging that hole into the ground. But it is possible to learn a different way of being. And I'm here to guide you on this journey. Thank you for coming along with me. And I hope you enjoy this exercise. If you would like an opportunity to experience this together, go ahead and book me. You know where to find me. I run Joyful Means Healing. It's an online school community. It's a support group for people on their healing journeys. And I also take one-on-one clients. So hopefully I'll see you in the DMs, babe. Love you.